And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go out to our friend William Geen from Alley Pack. It's been a while, Mr. Geen. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. It's like 30 degrees here in North Carolina. How's it up in Idaho? It's kind of hard to imagine, probably.
Well, we got about 12 right now.
Wow. Does that make you miss North Carolina a little bit?
I will say this. The people in North Carolina are the nicest people in the world until I met the folks here in Idaho. And we've got to get you out here because it's very similar when we're talking values. Of course, we've got a lot more establishment Republicans, and we don't have near as many libs as you do in North Carolina, brother.
Right. Well, we all have a different fight in the different states these days, trying to get the conservative America connected with what actually happens in this country. And, it changes throughout the country. But, it's been a great blessing for me to be able to work on illegal immigration issues across the country, and I really appreciate you having me on and a chance to speak with your listeners.
Well, let's talk a little bit about establishment Republicans. We haven't done that in a while. Are they really more derailing than our friends, the disingenuous little libs?
Well, I think so because, at least the liberal Democrats tell you they support amnesty for illegal immigrants, and I think it's, back when I first started fighting illegal immigration in 2004 and 5, I think there were maybe 3 or 4 Democrat members of Congress that we could endorse because they had pretty strong border security and immigration law enforcement positions. But over the years, those have completely disappeared. At this point, we're not even aware of any Democrat in the country that isn't an illegal immigration supporter. But then, on the Republican side, when it comes to campaign time, they're all, secure the border first. And, I'm telling you all what you want to hear, which is illegals have to go home and all this other stuff. And then when they go to Washington, D.C., they do something completely different. And I believe that that's where the biggest price tag is in American politics today. If you're looking to make money, socialists and Democrats are a dime a dozen because it's the number one thing that our colleges produce these days. So there's a high level of supply in political supply and demand of socialist Democrat community organizers that are willing to run for office and serve these open borders powers. With the big money, they're looking for someone that will go out and sound like a populist or a nationalist or a conservative or a Republican when speaking to audiences, but then come to Washington, D.C. and pursue their open borders, pro-amnesty, flood the labor markets with foreign labor agenda. And so that's why I would say, I have a lot of contempt for Democrats, but I'm really, the Republicans that lie about it, I think are worse in some ways.
Well, you've been pretty hard on the president. Your thoughts on him lately?
Well, they're letting a lot of the caravan members in, and I think that's going to bring more caravans down. The military's been sent down there, but not to stop any illegal immigrants. And, there's a lot of unmet promises. He promised right before the election when he was trying to feed the base some red meat because his polls were showing him what we were telling the country, that there was a big demoralization or lag amongst Trump base by those who were, disappointed that the wall hasn't progressed, that he didn't end the DACA amnesty on his first day in office before any court said anything like he promised, and several other immigration promises that were not, they're very key to his success and were not met, was creating a lag in voter enthusiasm amongst the conservative base. So right before the election, he comes out and says, I'm going to end birthright citizenship by executive order. I've been told I can do it, and that's what I'm going to do. And don't hold your breath. He's not doing it. So anytime that we talk about Trump, we say it's good when he says he's going to do certain things because he continues to make promises and say that he's going to do this or that. I can't remember what the last one was. I think we just saw one the other night last week he said that he didn't want Congress to try to pass amnesty before Christmas because right now the Koch brothers are using their financial political empire to lean on Republicans to pass a form of amnesty for illegal aliens by Christmas, which we're fighting over at Alley Pack. If anybody would like to help us fight amnesty before Christmas or against Pelosi's amnesty efforts coming after Christmas, we're at alleypack.us. That's ALIPAC.us. But, the Koch brothers, they want that amnesty. They want that cheap labor. They're probably already, got that cheap labor making money off of it somehow or another, and they're spending millions in Washington, D.C. to have their way. And those of us that feel the same way as 80% of Americans do, which secure the border, enforce our existing immigration laws, illegal aliens go home, which is what the current laws state, and don't let any of these asylum seekers, which are obviously not qualified for asylum, enter the country. They are supposed to apply from other places. That's what most Americans want. That's what our current laws state. But apparently, most Americans and the current laws of the United States are not what's running the show in this country right now. This country is not being governed by normal law. We're under some form of non-normal or martial law in this country where one thing is written and supposed to happen and another thing happens, and it doesn't matter how many Americans are injured, killed, lose their jobs, lose their homes, communities, or watch their local health care and educational institutions degraded by mass migration and immigration. And if one of the things we're working against at ALIPAC right now that's a global scale, if the UN Migration Compact passes in many countries around the world, conversations like this will become illegal. It will be illegal to say anything negative about migration, which includes legal and illegal immigration. And media companies or shows like yours and organizations like mine that make such complaints can be shut down under the legislative suggested contract, with from the United Nations that's coming our way. So we're trying to get things where we have a president and lawmakers that tell us what they're going to do and what the laws are going to be, and then that's what actually happens, as opposed to the current arbitrary situation we're in. I supported Trump, voted for Trump, donated to Trump, endorsed Trump, lost a lot of supporters when I endorsed and backed the president. It pains me to have to say that he's not feeling, stepping up to his promises on immigration issues. But, squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you go along with politicians, no matter what they say and do, and even when they don't do what they tell you to, then they don't really have any incentive to change whatsoever now, do they, Kevin?
No, they don't. Our great friend William Geen joining us from ALIPAC here on KIDO Talk Radio. So what's going on with the caravan?
Well, they're being a lot of them are being let in. They've slowed them down, and from what we can tell, the main objective of the government, the Trump administration, with sending down troops and playing with the optics, was to make the illegals wait in Mexico. They don't, in my opinion, they don't want the illegals to triumphantly parade through the gates en masse in front of all the cameras that are beaming this all around the world. They don't want this, lone Chinaman in front of a tank moment or, that type of image. People say, do you remember when the great caravans breached the racist America's borders and there was a new dawn in America? That type of propaganda moment for the global socialists behind this invasion. So they're making them stop and hang out over in Mexico for a few days to a few weeks before they trickle them in 5 or 10 at a time. The last report is that they're processing about 100 of them per day into the country, and reports out of Phoenix, Arizona are that thousands of asylum-seeking prior migrant members are being turned over by the federal government to NGOs and churches and Catholic charities and things like that. So they're bringing them in quietly and at night, we suspect. That's from the United Nations protocols. United Nations refugee resettlement programs are very active here in the United States, and for many years now, they've been flying in, quote, refugees in the middle of night in the commercial airplane carriers, some of them carrying highly infectious diseases, and they don't even bother to wash down or wipe down the seats that you'll be flying in tomorrow after people from third world nations with tuberculosis and giardia and other communicable diseases have been setting in them. And they're bringing them in the middle of the night to try to conceal it from the American public. So, that's what's going on with the caravans. They're getting in. A lot of them are getting in, and the ones that aren't getting in legally will probably skirt down the border and, jump in some other way. And there's been some really, really horrific sex crimes and lethal sex crimes involving children that I can't even really get into details because while it's factual and in certain news reports, it's just decorum. There is no decorum for some of the terribly dangerous and criminal elements that are infiltrating the United States every day. And unfortunately, things have not improved under Trump as much as we had hoped they would.
Our great friend William Geen joining us, Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. So what do you recommend that people in Idaho and across the country do?
Well, right now we need people doing two things. We're going to do our best to ask other countries and approached the consulates here with our volunteers and activists to try to the UN Global Compact for safe and orderly regular migration will probably pass UN's International Congress next week, but we want to try to reduce their mandate by as much as possible. And then we need to put pressure on groups like the Koch brothers and lawmakers that we will release through our email alerts. We're complete with their phone numbers and fax numbers and everything else that you need to contact them with ease in Washington, D.C. And we'll be providing the latest news, strategic messages designed to try to stop the Republicans that are going to say, hey, let's go ahead and pass a form of amnesty before the Democrats get here, so it'll be our form of amnesty for illegal aliens instead of theirs. And it looks like right now that the big push for that is going to be to sneak it into the continuing budget bill and vote on it on Friday, December 21st before leaving Washington, D.C., so that they hope that everybody's distracted by the holiday and won't notice that they just threw the country under the bus. So we need to raise awareness about this plot, and the more awareness we raise and more activists that we can get involved through our email alerts list at allipac.us and putting pressure on the pressure points that we're releasing to everybody, the less chance there is that you'll be sitting down for Christmas with your family and the news trickling in that millions of illegal aliens have just been put on a path to voting rights that are going to turn Idaho and every other state in the country as permanent, deep, dark, socialist, Democrat blue as California.
Boy, that's
permanently.
It's a very optimistic outlook. So how will the Republicans battle the new Democratic House?
Well, we're hoping that once Pelosi takes over that we can, there'll be lots of talks about bipartisanship, and I'm sure Trump and others will say, I'm sure there are things that we can work with on the Democrats for the good of the country. And a lot of folks like me, there's nothing that we want Republicans to work with Democrats on for the good of the country. Whenever you hear bipartisanship, it's usually something really slimy that 80% of Americans don't want, like amnesty for illegal aliens. So we don't want bipartisanship, and we don't want the agenda of the Democrats and the socialists to progress whatsoever. So we're hoping that there will be political animus between the White House and the Senate, and that they will not cooperate together, and that we will stop the House from pursuing any of their agenda, which is designed to turn. They're going to go for the full DREAM Act amnesty, where the Republicans were hoping to give them and placate them with just amnesty for 3 to 4 million illegal aliens, which was the last offer they put on the table with the amnesty bills we fought and defeated earlier this year, the Good Lot amnesty compromise. They want the full 12 to 20 million DREAM Act amnesty. They don't want to wait 6 to 10 years to take full control of the U.S. government policies. They want that now. So they're going to try to pass the DREAM Act amnesty, and they'll go over to the Senate and meet with Mitch McConnell and some other rhinos and Donald Trump and say, hey, we're going to give you some of this. We're not going to give you the wall. We're not going to let you ever say that we had anything to do with the wall, but we'll give you this and we'll give you that in exchange for amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. And, I just can't say that I'm very confident that Trump wouldn't sign something like that after what we've seen. So, but we don't need to trust politicians or put our faith in politicians. Our faith needs to be in the Lord and the Lord only, and our trust needs to be in ourselves as the monitors of what these lawmakers actually do. And taking that realistic approach is how ALLIPAC's been very successful in helping to defeat amnesty legislation more than 10 times since 2004. And that's what we're going to continue to do as long as people support us. We'd love to see the full restoration of the country through the full enforcement of our existing immigration and border laws, which would diffuse this situation by pressuring illegals to go home one day. But if we don't accomplish that, at least we've bought Americans more time before being subjugated by this plot to put the hands in, to make the whole country look like California. We're fighting a lot of censorship out of Silicon Valley by Facebook, Google, and Twitter, which has been a big part of the problem. And we have a lot of non-citizen voters out there, especially in states like California and Nevada and Washington State, that are voting in large numbers because there's no one and nothing in place to stop them from doing so. So already a lot of people out there listening to my voice on this radio show have already had their votes canceled out by illegal aliens voting or non-citizen voters, which includes legal immigrants, committing the dual felony of registering to vote and voting in elections. And the evidence that supports our position on that is piling up daily at allipac.us.
William Gein, we appreciate you. You keep up the fight and stay warm in that plush 30-degree weather in North Carolina.
I really hope I can come visit you at your station someday, Kevin, and I will probably try to do that during the summer months.
That would be great. It's about 105 here in the summer, so no humidity though.
Oh, well, great. At least it won't be what you say, 12 degrees.
Yes, sir.
Dress warm and have a very Merry Christmas, my friend.
And you too, sir. Take care, William. Our great friend William Geen joining us. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, we will speak with a commissioner from the Federal Communications Commission. That's right, the FCC will be joining us to talk a little bit about some changes going on in your local television here in the Treasure Valley. TV channels throughout the Treasure Valley will be changing. So you're going to have to rescan your TVs more than once. We'll have that information for you coming up next. Also, an announcement from Tom Cruise. But before that, let's go to Liberal Steve with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Idaho, and good morning, Miller. I think that Dad should be grabbed by both ears and headbutted for putting that on social media with his daughter walking 5 miles. Why would you put your daughter on social media for everybody to see and shame her like that? I mean, come on.
Well, and for people that are just tuning in, we talked a little bit about that last hour where we had a dad who his daughter got kicked off the bus once again for bullying the second time in a row. So he made her walk 5 miles to school and videotaped it, and it got 15 million hits.
Yeah, and the guy looks like a deadbeat dad. What was he doing at home anyway drive his car behind his daughter? Should have been at work. He was a loser. Yeah.
Now wait a minute. You have a problem. You have a problem with this dad teaching his daughter you don't bully, and if you do bully, there's some consequences?
I have a problem with him putting it on social media. I mean, if he wants to discipline his daughter that way for bullying, that's fine. Keep it between you and your daughter, not the frickin' world. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
No, I think it sends the right message. Well, you people like to keep us in the closet and marginalized, and this dad, along with Kevin Miller, we're saying no. Kevin Miller, along with President Trump, we're saying no. We're not going into the closet. If you would like to return to the closet, well, it's a big space for you.
So what I'm saying, too, getting to texting now, forget about the girl, they should have a lockbox inside your vehicle. When you get in your vehicle, you drop your phone in there like a cassette player, and it swallows it. Just, it's gone. And the only way you can get it back is turn your vehicle off.
Well, maybe you should go on Shark Tank with that one.
Those guys don't have any money. I loan them money when they want money. Anyway, Miller, you stay fired up.
That's about as credible as saying that you know Jimmy Fallon.
I do know Jimmy Fallon. I know him well.
No, you don't know Jimmy Fallon.
He said he wouldn't lower himself.
Now, come on, Liberal Steve. It's time to give it up. Years ago, you claimed that you knew Jimmy Fallon, and because we called him Fish Face Fallon, that you would get him on the program, and that just didn't happen. So you don't have any credibility to back up your claims.
Well, if you want to think that way, then you're a loser. You're a loser. You're like President Trump said. You're weak. You're just weak.
Once again, see, folks, here's a case study. As we can see it right as it happens, or hear it right as it happens, the disingenuous little lib, when he loses the argument, he attacks personally. See the DLL at his natural element.
So wasn't that a fantastic funeral? One of the best I've ever witnessed.
And now he's moving on to another topic.
I mean, come on. If I was dead, I'd want a funeral like that. I mean, even if they had to lie about me, you could get up and do the talking, Miller.
You would have me give your eulogy at your funeral.
Yes, you'd have people just on the floor crying, and it would be great. Anyway, you stay fired up in Idaho. Get over to Ontario now when they open those new stores and drive everybody nuts coming back across the border. Have fun, Miller.
Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. And I'm Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Maggie. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. We're joined by a member of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, Jean Cadieux, chairman of the FCC Incentive Auction Task Force. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Cadieux on KIDO Talk Radio. That sounds pretty good to us.
I noticed that. That's pretty good.
Indeed. There's a lot of change going on in how to watch television. We'll get to that in a minute. But for folks that aren't familiar with the FCC, you as a commissioner, what is the job of the FCC?
Well, first of all, let me just say I'm not a commissioner. I'm just the chair of a task force that the commission has. So I'd like to be a commissioner, but that's not my role. But what the commission does is that one of the things, anyway, that's very important is that we try to make sure that we use and allocate the nation's airwaves as efficiently and as effectively as possible for consumers. Airwaves are a scarce resource, so we try to be efficient. And so one of the things that we did recently, and the reason for this call, is that we are making the TV airwaves more efficiently used in a smaller band of the spectrum so that we could free up and clear some space for additional wireless capacity in the spectrum. So wireless carriers who need more capacity for mobile broadband service, mobile internet service, streaming services, 5G new services, always are needing more spectrum for consumers. So that's what we do, and that was what our incentive auction accomplished.
So how will that impact people here in Boise?
So after the auction, we are now in the transition, and we are doing what we said we would do, which is to consolidate the TV airwaves into a smaller band. And what that means is that stations nationwide, a number of stations, need to change the frequencies on which they broadcast. It won't change their channels, so viewers will still be able to tune their TVs to the channels that they're used to for their favorite programming. But behind the scenes, the TV needs to reorient itself for that channel to the new frequencies that are coming over the air. So that involves a rescan of the TV, so the TV will do that.
So even if you have like the satellite and all that, that's going to impact it as well?
So if you have satellite or cable services and you subscribe to those, you don't have to do anything. You'll see the announcements from the local stations on your screen because it's all the same channel. But the cable and satellite subscribers don't need to do anything. Those providers will do it in their own network. So it's only if you have an over-the-air antenna, either a set-top antenna or a rooftop antenna, and watch free over-the-air TV that you'll need to actually take action.
Sure. We take a look at local broadcasting. How would you evaluate it today?
I think it's a very robust service. One of the things that we did about 10 years ago, you may remember, is we converted from old analog broadcast to digital, and that freed up. Digital is a much more efficient technology. So stations now, in addition to their main station in a local market, have a couple of sub-channels available to them on their frequencies, and we're starting to see a lot of stations use those sub-channels. So if a viewer of over-the-air TV hasn't rescanned in a while and they do so now, they'll probably find a lot of stations available to them that they didn't even know they had because the stations are making even more use of the airwaves to bring more services to their viewers. Indeed.
Anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'd just like to say that rescanning is not a complicated process. Basically, it's something that viewers did when they bought their TV in order to find their local channels. Basically, it's a button on your remote. You go to the menu or the setup button, and then look for auto-tune or channel scan or rescan, whatever the manufacturer's words are. They're all a little different. But push that button and the TV will automatically scroll through all the channels and find and reorient where it's necessary and find what's available. We do have some information on the FCC website about how to rescan in case viewers have forgotten how. And our website is fcc.gov/TV rescan. Also on that website, we also have some a cool interactive map where a viewer can put in his or her street address, find out which stations are broadcasting in that local area to that address, and it'll tell them whether or not a station is going to be one of the stations that will need a rescan and the window of time over the next year and a half in which that will occur.
And that website, once again?
FCC.gov, fcc.gov/TV rescan.
Well, I'm sorry I gave you that promotion, but maybe one day you'll be a commissioner. That'd be awesome.
I'd like to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we have it. Gene Kiddo on KIDO Talk Radio, talking about changes in over-the-air television. Joining us now, speaking of air, Tea Party Bob, Gem State Patriot, joins us on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Is that meant to be hot air or some other kind of air?
You sound a little sensitive, by the way. By the way,
Well,
this just in, Bill O'Reilly will join us once again next Tuesday, so we're excited about that.
Oh, cool. I like Bill. You need to have a lockbox for Liberal Steve and throw away the key if you get a chance, would you?
Wow.
I want to thank you for talking about the problems that we're encountering each and every day with the aggressive and inattentive driving that's been getting worse here in the Treasure Valley. You know, when I first moved here, Kevin, 25 years ago, people used to actually wave hello when you drove by, but as time marches on, that wave has turned into flipping the bird more often than not. Now, I'm not quite sure what has precipitated the radical change, but road courtesy has become a thing of the past. Nowadays, it's every driver for themselves. Now, this is one of the reasons I've been telling you I have to get out of this congestion here in the valley before it gets any worse.
Let me start on that. So you are so distressed by everybody coming in that you're going to abandon your ancestral home.
Well, it's a 14-year ancestral home. I actually moved to the mountains before I got here.
Come on, we have a little liberal license here. Come on.
Yeah, I am ready to leave the area because I now have to actually make an appointment 2 or 3 days in advance to get out of the development during rush hour.
Well, you don't leave during rush hour. That doesn't sound like a bad deal.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Tell that to everybody else, will you?
Indeed. So back to the point. So you're really going to move out?
Oh, yeah. You know, I lived up north in the mountains when we first moved here for 12 years. Much easier and slower lifestyle where people actually cared for each other, and courtesy and respect were the order of the day, not flipping the bird. People don't seem to have any patience for anything anymore. Everything has to be now, and I think a lot of that has to do with the instant communications we have with our cell phones and the instant gratification we get from online ordering with Amazon.
Have people flipped you the bird?
The checkout lines.
Have people flipped you the bird?
At Amazon? Oh, you kidding me? Had one the other day in the car. You know, you see it in the checkout lines. You see the irritability of the people. And it's just, I guess they don't want to wait for anything anymore, even if it's a few minutes, salesperson or a waiter or whatever it might be. You know, we need to get back to the relevance of appreciating a slower pace of life and taking the time to enjoy things and the people around us instead of this continual rush, hurry, hurry, hurry.
Kind of like you when you sing at the church.
Well, I take my time when I sing at the church.
Right.
You know, it's a much changed world. To be honest with you, I'd like to see us get back to some being a bit more relaxed about our everyday lives. You know, I mean, it's just my opinion, but for what it's worth,
well, maybe it's because we have too many people driving big trucks.
I don't think it's the big trucks. It's just a loss of common courtesy and respect for the other people that are around you, and I see it every day. I think, and I hate to tell you, but I think politics has had a lot to do with this. I think it has put a big strain on everybody's lives.
Well, you can thank the libs. You can thank the libs for that.
Well, yes, we can, unfortunately. But we need to start taking it a little bit easy and back off a bit. Even our kids, look at the kids, my crying out loud. They got their phones in their eyeballs every minute of the day. I don't know where we're going from here.
I don't know. I've had conversations with you, and you've dissed me to be on the phone.
Well, you are the same as the kids.
No, you're totally wrong on that.
Oh, no. You and I have spent hours together, and you still got that phone in your head.
I'm waiting for the call for the balloon to go up. Hey, finally, a great night last week at Idaho Chooses Life.
Oh, it was wonderful. I really appreciate the fact that they put that little shindig on every year, and it gives everybody an opportunity to get together, commiserate a little bit about what we're doing. And I'll tell you, that commercial that they played was absolutely boring from the Planned Parenthood. I hope the people that were there pass that along to some others, that we have a battle. We have a battle going on, and it's going to be a long, hard-fought one. And if we don't mind our P's and Q's, they're going to overtake us. You know, we're killing 60 million babies. That's not anything to smile about.
No, you're right.
I'm glad we have something going on here that's trying to change it. And thank God for somebody like David Ripley, who spends his time down the legislature trying to get these laws passed.
Well, maybe one day we'll talk again.
Well, my friend, we hope to see you this weekend. You just take it easy. I need to come get my chair.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, your wife told me that.
She did. Yep.
Take care, my friend.
Thank you. All right, a man who drives a big truck, Craig in Boise, joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Craig.
Yeah, I got the dig, Kevin. So as soon as I heard, yeah, maybe it's the big trucks. No, I would agree with Bob that unfortunately, well, I moved up here 25 years ago, and people were very polite, and there was common courtesy, and now we have to paint "Don't block the box" for people to not block an intersection. People are just. I saw somebody the other day who came up behind me, tailgated me, went around me, and we arrived at the stoplight at about the same time after he played Mario Andretti for about 3 minutes. And, people are just, they're not courteous. They don't realize that the emotionality that they have, the exhilaration and the feeling of immediacy doesn't get them anywhere any further, any faster.
No, you're right about that. And then you've got the people on their phones.
Yeah. I haven't been seeing a whole lot of that recently, and maybe I'm just not looking, but it's more just, all they're in their cars thinking about them in their capsule, and that's it. That's as far as they go. They don't think about, oh, well, maybe somebody's going to turn here. Maybe I shouldn't block this intersection. Or maybe somebody needs to get in or out. It's just all me, my car, and I'm going to be leaving too. I'm selling a house in Southwest that I've gotten out of, and I'm going to put the money away, and I'm not going to buy a house in this area. For one thing, it's probably too expensive, and the other thing is, why do I want to move into the next, Los Angeles? I mean, this place is getting jammed up, completely packed. And people from LA and California, they go, oh, this isn't traffic. You haven't seen traffic. Well, I've seen traffic. And this is going to only get worse. ACHD can't keep up.
Now, what's the deal with ACHD? What do they do, really?
I don't know. I heard this year, and this was comical. This is the lack of complexity that they have. So between Cloverdale and 5 Mile, it's a 2-lane road still. And that's a high traffic area. Well, I called ACHE and I said, well, when are you guys going to put a turn lane in the middle? And they go, oh, well, that's an east-west road. We're doing all north-south roads this year. I went, what? You're kidding me. And they're like, no, we're going to, I'm like, that's the way you guys plan? Is you identify congestion east-west and then north-south and then pursue it that way? So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm not going to put roots in here, that's for sure. I think this place is not paying attention to itself.
Well, we're just all optimists today.
Yeah, we are. And throw away the key for me, too. What a moron. My God. And you know who I'm talking about.
Thank you, Craig.
All right, take care, Kevin. Love you.
Love you. All right. Mark and Eagle with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Mark.
Boy, good morning, Kevin. Between Tea Party Bob and Craig there, boy, they both hit the nail on the head. You know, I moved here in '95, and I came up from the Bay Area, lived in Oregon, Washington State, but I'll tell you, I've never seen so many terrible drivers on the road, and I know it's the result of all the influx and new wave of out-of-staters from California, Washington, California, not so much of the Oregon drivers I noticed, but definitely Californians. Tailgating, speeding around, trying to get up to a stoplight faster than somebody else. The other thing, this is a real big peeve. Craig mentioned about blocking intersections. I see it all the time here in Eagle, right on the main corner of Eagle and State Street. But it's not just there, it's other places you'll see it happening. But the big one I see is, what is it, any of you drivers out there from California, Oregon, Washington State, who love to go up to a stoplight or a stop sign and hang back the distance of 3 or 4 cars? The bypass from Eagle Road and the Highway 44 bypass, you come up to the street light there, and the intersection, you'll have cars that will sit 3 and 4 car lengths behind the car in front of them. Tell me, what is that about, people? I really would like to know. Why would you not pull up to the car in front of you, maybe stick 3-4 feet off the bumper? But no, we have to be 3-4 car lengths behind the car in front of you at a stop. It makes no sense. It really just drives me nuts. And I, like Tea Party Bob, would love to look for another place to move to, but I don't think there's too many choices out there. They've ruined my little Shangri-La here, I could tell you that, with these out-of-staters. And I'm an out-of-stater, but I abide by the rules of the road. You have a good day, Kevin.
Hold on, Mark. Before you go, I want you to directly address the people that are coming in and taking over. What would you say to them, as thousands are listening to you right now? What would you say to them to set them straight?
Just what Craig and Tea Party Bob said. Try to learn to be more courteous on the road. This is not California, Oregon, Washington State, or even back east. You know, it was a whole different story here. You come up here, you want to make it like the place you came from. You're doing a damn good job of it, people. You need to do what Craig and Bob said: slow down, be more courteous. We wouldn't hear on the half-hour news there at KIDO about the cops having to be out there to look for numbskulls like you people out there who are causing this problem. So, you know, it's the holidays. Let's try to be more courteous, kind to each other, and not rush around like it's going to mean life or death if you don't get someplace a minute too, quicker than you want to get. I mean, it's ridiculous. This hyper driving, this hyperactive lifestyle that people have brought with them from out of state is just ruining the whole air around this valley. It's just, as far as, it's not the same as it was when I moved here. And I know, Kevin, it wasn't the same when you first moved here either.
Agreed, Mark. You're right.
You have a good day, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. All right, Kevin Miller in the morning here. We apologize to Pro-Life and Tess. We're going to go to Aaron and Rob, our great friends from Team Mazda Subaru, just to talk a little bit about, to thank them for another great season of Promote Our Schools. Tomorrow we're going to be at Eagle High School, then Bishop Kelly. Yesterday we were at Valley View. And, gentlemen, we couldn't do that program without you guys, so thank you very much.
We appreciate you. You guys are doing great things. And, we want to be a part of wherever you're going, Kevin. Wherever you are, Kevin, that's where we want to be.
We're going to be there.
Well, we sure appreciate that. Now, this is where I say, hey, what's going on this week at Team Mazda Subaru? And you go, we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about the community. But what's going on at Team Mazda Subaru this week?
We even followed you to the gun range.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, that's where we go.
Tomorrow we're going to Eagle High School.
Eagle High School.
You guys?
We're
right down there on Market Road. I know where it's at.
Kids, and we're going Market Road.
Farm Market. Right?
You guys are going to Eagle Road, Eagle High School?
Of course.
Hey, we'll be there. I'll be there.
If you're there, we're there.
Yeah.
Well,
why wouldn't we?
We appreciate that. Why does the community matter so much to you guys? It's so funny. You guys come in. Hey, we're ready to go talk. So we've got.
What?
This is where Jeff the suit is calling me on the phone right now. 20 seconds. Bring it home, please.
We are all the promotions that you bring us to are just outstanding, and Boise Rescue Mission and the kids are we're gonna follow you, and we're gonna be with you.
Team Subaru loves the kids. You heard it here first.